Hello and welcome to Stretford Paddock. My name is Joe and this is Uncensored. Me and Adam McKola will be talking about the Glazers demanding £10 billion for Manchester United and whether anyone can possibly match that. We'll also be looking at a season review so far. The transfer window has ended. We've got to the first international break. Where does that leave Manchester United and what are the expectations for the season? And also, you may notice there's a little bit more editing than usual, and that's because we had a couple of technical issues. And also, if we're honest, tempers were frayed. There were problems after the Arsenal game. Some things had to get cut out. And ironically, Uncensored is pretty much the only video on the channel that ever gets censored. So make sure you stay tuned. Right, exclusive. This is the Daily Mail on Sunday. Manchester United will be taken off the market by the Glazer family after bidders failed to reach their asking price in a huge blow to fans as they hold out for $10 billion for the club. So that's coming out of the Daily Mail. Now, it's an interesting one, this, because it's... Yeah, exactly. So first of all, that's pretty much double what people have been offering so far. And secondly, it's almost everyone has looked at that and gone, nah, that's just a bargaining technique for the rest of this bid. And I'll go straight into Gary Neville's tweet and then we can sort of discuss the whole thing. So he said, I don't believe the Glazers are not doing anything story. They have to do something. They've run out of money and the financial situation is desperate. They need investment in. They're also having a toxic impact on the club from the inside out. The negligence continues for now, but I don't think it can go on without some action on raising funds. Also, who would come in as a minority alongside them with the damage it would do to their reputation? So, first of all, give me your thoughts when you saw that story out of the Daily Mail a couple of days ago. The Glazers, the sale is off. They're holding out for $10 billion. What are your initial thoughts?
A reaction to that quote. I kind of hear the sentiment from Gary Neville, and I agree. Like, the club's in such a financial position that the Glazers have to put money in, big money, or sell it. Like, you have to do one or the other right now because we're falling behind, and you're not going to be able to milk that cow, which you have been doing for a long time, for much longer. But the one line there where he said someone's reputation is going to get ruined, I don't think billionaires really give a shit what we think, you know. I genuinely don't think these billionaire geezers care what we think. The Glazers, if they don't want to sell, they don't like. And by the way, I applaud all the protests. Keep going. I was part of the sitting and all that, you know. We should always make our voices heard against it. I genuinely don't think it bothers them. It affects them, obviously, when it affects sponsors and, you know, you have maybe things like that who don't want to touch the club because they don't want to be associated with things like that. But I don't think they're that arsed. It's all about the money in it. Like, their world is very different to ours. Like, you know what I mean? They don't do the same things we do. They live in different bubbles to what we do. It's all assumptions or estimations, isn't it? But their estimations or hopes are that the World Cup in America will bring a new wave of billionaire investors to the table. That you'll see, like, the new structure of the Champions League, which means, you know, it's going to be, unless something catastrophic is going wrong, it's going to be difficult to miss out on it. When 5 places are there, the new TV deals, they're thinking all those things will make Manchester United much more valuable.
Yeah.
Whether that's true or not, I don't know, but that's what they're estimating. Maybe there's still life in the Super League.
Yeah, maybe there is. And obviously there's going to be the Saudi League involvement in the rest of European football, one way or another. I know UEFA came out this week and said they'll never be part of the Champions League, but we've heard that before with the PGA Tour and Live Golf, and now look what's going on there. It's basically Live Golf calling the shots and PGA Tour, you know, doing the admin. So, you know, a lot of money goes a long way, and that might change things and make all of football have this extra lot of eyes on it, even more money coming in, the Saudi money coming into UEFA and Europe. That could double United's value. You know, there's all these things to take into account. What do you think the reaction will be if, you know, at the minute it is just the Daily Mail, there's not a huge amount of traction behind this. If this becomes official, we hear word from, you know, Jim Ratcliffe's team, from Sheikh Jassim's team, from the Glazers themselves, from United, what do you think the reaction will be if they are pulling out of the sale?
Again, I know it's the Mail, but it's that Sporting Intel guy in it, Nick Harris, who's usually fairly decent.
Yeah.
And look, I'm not saying that is definitely true. we've heard rumors for so long on various different things. I can't remember who posted it, but someone posted that this could be just like a negotiating tactic,
Yeah.
when they briefed that the Jim Ratcliffe group have won it, that they're trying to get more money out of the Qataris, vice versa. Maybe this could be the kind of tactic to get more money out of both of them and see what happens. But I don't know. I obviously hope that they're gonna sell up, but they kind of just one of the things that if they weren't, we'd know by now.
I suppose the assumption is that this is the discussion that's taken place within the Glazer family, within their accountants and decision makers, or whoever it is, that then hasn't yet been, that hasn't then been relayed to the bidders. But this is the way they're erring towards, not selling. Maybe that's what the story is, rather than, maybe they haven't told Jim Ratcliffe or Sheikh Jassim, or maybe this is still in conversation with the Glazer family and they're working out the best way to, PR their way out of not selling United, because they know there's going to be a backlash. And, if we've seen anything in the last few weeks with, on the field decisions, they do want to stay away from some of the backlash if they can. I know they don't care too much.
All we seem to discuss is how shit referees and VAR is and stuff like this.
Where are you up to with VAR these days? Because last time we spoke about it, you were still in favour of it as a concept, but you didn't like the way it was being implemented.
I never ever wanted VAR from the start. Let's make that clear. Right. We saw a large swell of this football media that now criticise VAR on a regular basis. Like, ask for this, like, want this. This is why VAR came about, because it was like constantly pundits and players saying, we should have a referee, like everything's televised these days. Referees should have the ability to see replays. And now when referees make right decisions, sometimes they're complaining, that's taken a minute. Like, this is what you wanted, so you're now criticizing it. It's a bit weird. Obviously, there's going to be teething issues as well, but I just think the level of refereeing is atrocious. And like the other week when we were talking about that penalty decision, and we went, if the one never happened there at Wolves, then we get given this one against Spurs. And loads of people go, you're silly. What are you thinking? And then you hear, was it Mike Dean coming out saying, I never sent him to the screen because I felt sorry for him or something. And it makes you think, nah, I'm right. You know what I mean? These lot are stupid. Like, they're making decisions willy-nilly for various different reasons that aren't just for what you see in there. And then some of them, look, I thought my gut instinct was offside for Garnacho in it. But then you see some of the lines and all this, and you're thinking, is it us? Like, is this even like, is what is going? There's uncertainty there, which makes me think you should maybe lean towards the side of the attacker. Should the camera be in a different position for that? Do you know what I mean? Like, you have to be dead on, surely, to be able to gauge. Was the line on Garnacho's, like, Saliba's head, like, you don't know what's going on there. Like, it's just all weird. And then, like, the penalty on Højlund potentially. There's just like vital decisions in vital like that was 0-0 then. United were dominating that half, creating chance after chance. You go 1-0 up, one of the next ones goes in. You know what I mean? 2-1, look, maybe we concede an equaliser late on and it's still heartbreak. But you have to find that out, innit? Højlund was good, but again, should he have been given a penalty?
I think so. I think that's a penalty. We always get told as fans that, you're just saying that, well, of course the refs don't think like that. Of course the refs aren't bothered about whether, they've complained about Onana the week before or whether Forest have put in an official complaint the week before. But then, like you said, you hear that Mike Dean thing, and it's not the first time either. We saw Mark Clattenburg say when he moved out of the Premier League, and basically said that sometimes he didn't give stuff because he felt threatened or he was worried, or like, in the past, you do get a bit of a push one way or the other, or you want to try and even things up. You shouldn't do it, but you do. Like you said, all these things that we're told, you're just biased United fans or you're biased Arsenal or Chelsea, whatever, we think it about our own club. And then refs basically come out and say, no, I didn't send him to the screen because I thought he'd get too much criticism. And you're like, it's all true. The reason they probably didn't give that one is because the one before. And you just think, what's the point in VAR if you're just sending it to another set of referees who have also got this sort of level of bias that's built up, or they don't want to hurt this, or they're not sure about that, or they were, going having a piss when the decision happened and they missed it. Like, all these things that you think probably, surely that doesn't happen. They do happen. So I just don't see the point in it. And I think until we can get to a point where it's all just done, instead of video assistant referee, it's just VR, video referee. So there's no human being involved. Is it offside? Yes or no? Like goal line technology, there's no drawing a line on the thing and does the ball overlap. It's just done instantly. Until we can get to that point, I think leave it with the ref on the pitch. Work with AI, work with the technology, and the offside is done instantly by a digital camera, no human being. I think that's how we should do it. Red cards stay with the refs. Penalties, maybe that's the one where you have to have a human being because it's too critical, too sort of nuanced. But offside or not, that just goes to a calculation, and if he's off, and if he's not, he isn't.
Just useless half the time. Even sometimes, I was shocked that that penalty on Havertz got overturned. I think it was the right decision, but again, I was shocked. Like, they're so inconsistent with some of these things. Sometimes they overturn that, sometimes they're not gonna. Like, you can't tell either way. Like, you go, actually, that may be not a penalty, but they're very rarely overturning.
Yeah.
That one surprised me, to be fair. But yeah, it was just an annoying day, all in all.
Right, before we carry on, a quick word from our sponsors, Manscaped. Adam, you know all about Manscaped, but so do 8 million other men. They are the global leaders in below-the-belt grooming, and with our code Paddock20, that is Paddock20, you can get 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com. Adam, tell me about manscaped.com. Just tell me about them, please.
I love Manscaped, keeping me prim and proper. And you know what? When you're watching the football and you're getting a little bit of a sweat on because VAR is doing your head in, you need to make sure everything is groomed, because you don't want to be overly profusely sweating in those areas, do you? You want it to be a smooth summer. So get Manscaping down below, but everywhere else you can think of. And you know what? The thing's got a little torch on it for your nether regions.
It's absolutely huge. And unless you're trimming yourself with your knees next to your shoulders outdoors on the beach with the sun shining right on your perineum, there's gonna be sometimes I do, but sometimes I don't do. So that's why the torch comes in handy, because there's always going to be a little crevice and a little dark patch, and with that the Manscaped torch comes in handy. But also, you've got to think about the bigger picture. It's not just about the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, which we're talking about there. It's also the Performance Package 4.0. That's everything. It's the Lawnmower trimmer. It's the Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer. It's the Crop Preserver Ball deodorant, the Crop Reviver Ball toner, Performance Boxer briefs, and the Shed travel bag as well, to hold all your goodies. And if you want to take them down to the beach with your knees over your head, go for it. And you can do that in the Shed travel bag. Genuinely, I use Manscaped every single time I trim the boys, and I have done for years. I wouldn't go to anyone else. I absolutely love them. They're just a perfect sponsor, and we love having Manscaped on board. So make sure you check out the link in the description. Go down there, click on it, see why 8 million men, it's not just us, we're not just saying this, 8 million men trust Manscaped. Use the code Paddock20 for 20% off and free shipping. Your balls will thank you. What do you make of that then? Sancho coming out and saying,
I haven't seen how he said it. Like, I haven't seen the video, if there's a video of it.
There is.
So, but I haven't seen if he said it in a manner. But from what I've seen, he said, there's nothing particularly, he just said, based on training performances, you know what I mean?
That's exactly how he said it, by the way. I've seen the video. That's how he said it. Yeah.
If he's saying that, then I don't think it's necessarily disrespectful. A manager's job is to judge his players' training performances, pick his squad. I think last season, whatever, we don't know what was going on with Jadon Sancho. We can't really, guess on that. But the manager stuck by him, gave him time. He was, he dealt with him really nicely. It appeared from the outside. They seem to have a great relationship. Jadon Sancho was posting nice things about the manager and that. So then for now to just, maybe he's frustrated at not getting in the team. I thought Jadon Sancho should have been starting after, some of his appearances from the bench. And Anthony's performances, I haven't been particularly impressed with him. Although I thought Anthony was better against Forest, but I was frustrated at not seeing Sancho start. So I could understand how he could be in that position. But deal with it on the training pitch. Deal with it with a knock on the door to the man. I don't think it was particularly disrespectful to make you go, I need to post about this right now. Like,
No.
I need to and you can say he's said it publicly, so therefore I should. But I don't think what he said publicly warranted that reaction, unless something further has been bubbling on behind the scenes. Maybe he's been frustrated at not getting game time. Maybe he's handled it in the wrong way. Maybe he's just missed a train. Like, he's been late. We're all kind of guessing what's gone on. But from his performances on the pitch this season, when he's been a sub, I thought he should have been starting. And maybe that's where the frustration comes from. But then it comes down to how you deal with it. You know what I mean? You've got to be able to take knocks. I think we've seen Marcus Rashford got dropped for being late to a team meeting, I think. You know, Garnacho had some of that treatment. And Garnacho responded to it well. You know, even little things like Garnacho never got his number 7 this summer. He hasn't acted like a little baby about it. You know what I mean? He's picked himself up, performed well, nearly had a winner against Arsenal. So I think you want to see a better reaction from your player, but maybe something's been bubbling up behind the scenes that we don't know of. And if that's the case, it's basically called the manager a liar in the thing as well.
Yeah, yes.
Pretty much. You know what I mean? You've said it without saying it. So if that's the case, unless today they've had a conversation and look, I apologize, put it past in the past. I can't see him playing for Manchester United again.
So it's mad, isn't it? Because the other thing is, it's not like it's Rashford that's done this, or Bruno, or Varane, or someone who's a first name on the team sheet. It's not that tricky for Ten Hag to not play Jadon Sancho because he already doesn't play him a lot.
And if it is down to training performances, which you can only assume based off what the manager said, then the manager's maybe he's asking for some. Maybe like when Man United play on a match day, he's amazing. Like, he's not been amazing, but you know what I mean? Like, we see a decent performance from him when he comes off the bench. But maybe in training, he's always at the back of the line. Again, I'm assuming here, like he's always a little bit not really putting it. Some people are like that. You hear some great players say, I've not been the best trainer, but some managers aren't going to accept that. Some people will.
Yeah.
Some people won't. And that's the manager's prerogative. And the manager has to build standards at the club. And just because right now we've lost 2 of 4, we've lost against Arsenal, we're all disappointed, seeing some people get on the manager's backs. But ultimately, whether it's Harry Maguire, Jadon Sancho, Cristiano Ronaldo, Alejandro Garnacho, Marcus Rashford, you have to treat everybody the same. And if he's not pulling his weight in training, then you can't expect him to start. And we've got players like, look, I'm disappointed. I like Jadon Sancho as a player. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I really want him to do well because if he does at Manchester United, I think we've got some player on our hands. So it would really disappoint me, but the manager's got to set the standards here. As simple as that.
Yeah, that line, I believe there are other reasons for this matter that I won't go into. I've been a scapegoat for a long time, which isn't fair.
Unless like something happened in training, something's happened. Like he's done something in training and he's like, I've been dropped, but hold on, this geezer's shit every match. He's not been dropped. Like maybe that's where he's going, like, I've been a scapegoat. I'm the one getting, And sometimes footballers are like, they have egos, you know what I mean? Maybe they feel like they're being picked on when they're not.
There's also something else I want to bring into this, and just to try and look at what he maybe means by scapegoat for a long time. The only thing I can think of is where he spoke about, someone asked him about Sancho and why aren't we seeing the player that we saw in the Bundesliga. But he basically said, that it's the development. The Bundesliga is perfect preparation for the Premier League. Ten Hag. He said, I saw many games at Dortmund and Jadon is not such a different player as he is here. Essentially saying, like, the standards aren't the same. It's not like, maybe just Sancho's not that good. Maybe he's not performing. Do you think that was meant another way?
I saw that at that time, and correct me if I'm wrong, everyone. I'm sure you will. I think the question was something like, Sancho hasn't been good enough. He hasn't lived up to the standards that he set at Dortmund. And he went, no, actually, he has played as well as he played at Dortmund. But that was how I took it. Like, but maybe like it's a harder league, so therefore the goals, etc., haven't come. But I took it as he has kind of did what he did at Dortmund.
He's doing well.
I thought it was a more
The
supportive comment, and I said that at the time.
I read that as, well, he's not playing for United. He's not starting games, so it can't be that. He can't be saying he's playing that well, because if he was, he'd be starting him. You know, that's the only reason I assumed it was a bit of a negative, because you're saying actually he's as good as he was then. He's not dropped off, so this is just how good he is, and he can't even get a game. Do you know what I mean? But again, maybe it's not that. But I'm just trying to think of times when has Sancho been used as a scapegoat.
I don't think that was that. Like, he very rarely lays into anyone publicly. He never has. Like, even when he's had opportunity to.
Yeah.
Like, he never has public. Even like people get frustrated when he goes, "Oh, Harry Maguire's class on that," and you're like, "Fuck's sake!" Yeah. I watch him every week, and it's like, he's very rarely like, you know. I don't know. I hope it gets sorted without kind of affecting the squad. Like, obviously, I think Sancho was close with Rashford, Wan-Bissaka. Rashford seems very singularly minded and focused. Well, look at Wan-Bissaka, bruv. Wan-Bissaka was told certain things like that.
Talk about comebacks.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like, he was told, like, you know, he's got to do this, that, the other, and he's gone and done it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think sometimes you just got to have it. Oh, I'm going to fucking prove you wrong, innit?
Yeah.
Watch this. Because he's such a good player, man. Such a good player. So talented. I think people expect a player that was going to just run at people, and he's not got that pace like that. Takes these small touches. He likes to dribble, and he needs players around him. And we get to see moments of time where he comes on and he plays really well. Very rarely loses the ball. But you got to have that drive in you sometimes, you know what I mean?
The thing I don't love as well is that this comment came out sort of 2 hours after full time, roughly an hour and a bit after those comments from Ten Hag. So it's like he's writing this message, because it's like, it looks like it might be like a notes app. I don't even know how he's done it anyway. He's writing this tweet pissed off.
You know, he never quite stepped over anything when you go, whoa. Obviously, he's calling the manager a liar, and he's saying, don't believe what you read or whatever.
It's even deeper than that. He's not saying we have a disagreement. He's saying the manager is lying. There's another reason why he's dropped me. Like, that's bad. To me, he's not in a position to do this, Sancho. Like, he's not. It wasn't great under Solskjaer. It wasn't great under Rangnick. It hasn't been that great under Ten Hag.
Ten Hag is expected to hold clear the air talks with Sancho after his omission from a squad at Arsenal on Sunday. Sources close to Sancho believe he hasn't been getting a fair run at cementing the first team place at United, pointing out that Antony is sometimes given preferential treatment despite struggling for consistency himself. I can agree with that. But it's how you deal with it. Say that to the manager in the office. Yeah. What are you gaining out of doing it publicly?
Yeah, I don't know.
All right, maybe you split the fan base, and some people are saying Sancho play, like, you know, and some people are saying, "No, fuck this guy." But you've created now this atmosphere where it's you or him. I don't think that'll be the case in a squad, but it's just a silly way to deal with it. And I can see where his frustrations come from in it.
What have we seen from Sancho to say that he would be much better than Antony?
When he's come off the bench, he's looked much better than Antony. And you can say that's still not good enough or whatever, but he has looked better than Antony.
A lot of talk about the Saudi League today, obviously, with following this sort of Sancho stuff in the last day or so. People talking about him going to Saudi League. I think it's just because their league is still available for transfers. I don't think there's any actual links. I think people are just putting two and two together. Do you see that happening? I think that would leave us too thin, personally.
Everyone makes mistakes. Ten Hag seems to acknowledge players are human, but it's simply the way he treated Jadon Sancho last season. So as a human, and I'm quite a softie, I always like to leave the door open, maybe they can resolve this and both will come out firing for it, and Sancho will be amazing. That's an ideal world, right? But the things that lead you to doing this publicly makes me feel like this is just a tip of the iceberg, probably. Now, maybe this iceberg is one that Jadon Sancho is imagining, and he just needs to fix up in training. I don't know. But I feel like if you do this publicly, something's bubbling up that probably means we're very unlikely to see him start a game or play for Man United again. Or if it will, it'll be like how we see Maguire now, and we're like, fucking hell, thought you've gone. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, I just feel like something's happening.
It's just sad. It's sad. The whole thing with Sancho, there's never been like a high point to look back at and go, if only we can get him back to this point. He's never had like a run of half a dozen games where it's 6 goals and 3 assists in 7 games or anything like that. It's always been almost and then not quite, hasn't it? It's just never really clicked, has it? It's just sad. Yeah, what do you make to him? What do you think of him on Sunday?
It was nice to see someone that looked like he just wanted to hurt strike defenders.
Yeah.
And like hustle and, you know, get in there and position his body in smart ways. Could have won a penalty. Highly influential in the disallowed goal. You know, looks like his movement's sharp. Nearly got onto that front post one. And Rashford nearly got around to him. Like, he looks sharp, do you know what I mean? And the one thing is, when we heard he had that back injury, you can see him like aggravating it. You know the way he plays, like he's always throwing his back into people.
Very physical, isn't he?
Like he's letting him know he's there, but they're also letting him. Like, so he seems ideal for the Premier League. But you know, that Brighton game, if he can start that, go away with Denmark, get a few more minutes under his belt, maybe score a goal or two. We can start him in that game. Rashford, Anthony, probably going to be. But look, Anthony's performance against Forest was better than it was in the first 2 games. And it wasn't as good as it was against Forest. But off the ball, it wasn't too bad against Arsenal. It was like, he'd give the ball away and then immediately win it back. And you'd be like, oh, yeah, that's good.
Yeah. I wish he'd not done the first bit, but the second bit was nice.
Yeah. So he'll start. And then maybe Amrabat will be ready by then. Little bit of Amrabat in my life. You know what happened, yeah? Christian Eriksen falling asleep, man. Kobe Mainoo don't let that happen.
I know.
Amrabat don't let that happen. I don't think Mason Mount lets that happen either.
It's such a shame as well when you put together a performance that is on the cusp of being able to win you a game like that. We literally saw Garnacho look like he'd scored the winner in the 88th minute. And then all of a sudden it goes from, oh my God, we've done a performance, we've put the result, we've actually scored the goals to win us the game. And then 4 minutes later or 5 minutes later, whatever it is, we've lost. It's like almost baffling how cruel that game was, and it was just absolutely horrible.
The Spurs game as well, like penalty shout, 2 headers in the first, like another day we're 3-0 up at half time. Everyone's thinking, what the hell is Ange Postecoglou doing? And United are cruising.
Sad stuff, innit? Very sad stuff. Anyway, on a separate note then, give me your 3 biggest sort of concerns and your 3 biggest positives of the season so far. We've had that first little chunk, start of the season to the international break, sorry. We've had the 4 games. We're just getting a little flavour, no huge sort of reviews, but just your best 3 and your worst 3 so far this season.
Concerns have to be top of the list right now is what is going on with Jadon Sancho. Go and, buy Ten Hag something nice. Give him a hug.
Yeah.
Put it in the past and get cracking, get
milk
working.
Tray.
Yeah, milk tray for the win. Number 2, find the balance in the midfield now. Hopefully Mason Mount, I don't know how long he's out for, but hopefully he'll be back soon. Kobe Mainoo, get them back after the international break at some point. Amrabat as well. Find that balance in there. And then I also think Altay by India needs some minutes before AFCON.
So there's the 3 then. Sorting out the goalkeeper situation, sorting out that midfield, and the Sancho situation. So there's your 3 negatives. What's your 3 positives so far this season?
Rasmus Højlund hasn't started a game for Manchester United. It's positive. Yeah, you get it?
Right. Yeah.
Or Amrabat. Let's put that. Højlund and Amrabat are going to...
And Mainoo.
And Kobe Mainoo. Marcus Rashford seems to pick up form, which is good. Number 3. Onana.
Yeah.
I think it's very harsh to blame him for that goal. Because you know what's happened, yeah? He's gone down to save the initial shot, and then the inflections come. So by that point, you're already down. You've already committed to being down. Maybe you could say he's gone down early, but I'm not a keeper coach, so I think he's a bit unlucky.
No, the shot's from about 6 yards out, and he's hit it just as hard as he can, swung a leg through it, and then it gets deflected, and he still gets a fingertip to it. You can't blame the keeper for that. I know. You know what? I'm gonna leave you there. I'm gonna leave you to wallow in what is probably going to be 2 weeks of pain until United come back and absolutely thrash Brighton. But thank you, Adam McKola.
We ain't fresh at Brighton as well. Evan Ferguson's gonna just put us to the sword.
What, you're saying that Evan Ferguson's going to give Johnny Evans some problems? Oh, yeah. Yeah, good luck with that, mate.
You know what? If it doesn't work with Ten Hag, just burn the whole thing to the ground.
That is all from us. Thank you once again. We're still winning the league, which is perfect. The Champions League hasn't even started yet, so there's 2 league titles. Put them on the list. 21 and 22 are coming because I'm including the Champions League as a league. So, by the end of the season, we'll be miles away. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you once again to Manscaped. The link, like I said, is in the description. Use the code Paddock20 for 20% off and free shipping. Thank you, Adam McKola. It's been a tough one today. We've had to grind it out. Manchester United going into that. Yeah, it's been a real therapy session, this one, except you've not tried to snog me, which is good. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you in a bit.